Hey guys, it's Summing Rush. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to play the most difficult medium tank map in the game. But before we get into that, a message from our sponsor. Today's sponsor is TorGuard. TorGuard is an easy-to-use VPN service provider with support for Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, and Android devices. With TorGuard's professional security options, stealth VPN protocol, and unlimited speeds and bandwidth, you'll be able to browse and use the internet with extreme ease and peace of mind. Learn more with the link down below. Alright, so now that that's out of the way, one of the first things you need to understand when you play on city maps is the utility in holding angles. So what I mean by that is on a city map, what you want to do is you want to find an early position that you can take before the enemy get to their positions, and then hold an angle and just shoot at people who drive into you. You can catch them off guard. So right here, I've done that, right? I've come to a location where I know heavy tanks will drive in front of me, and I see this IS-3, and he's totally unprepared for this. So what I can do is I can actually get a free shot into him, and he has to snapshot back, which is absolutely perfect. It's the same thing with this T10. That T10 appeared, he did not expect me to be where he was. I actually didn't expect him to be where he was either, and because I was reloaded in time, I was able to put shots into him. Now, the play that I make, it's like, that's a really quick play. That's a play that lasts 10 seconds. What you want to do next, once you've got those early shots of damage off, and you're not going to get a lot of them on a city map, is you need to fall back to a second angle, because in a medium tank, the way that you get shots on damage is by letting people make mistakes, right? You're not going to force them to bounce their shot with your superior armor because you're fighting against heavies in a medium. So what I've done is I've fallen back to a second angle where I know people will drive into me, and you can see right there, I'm able to put shots into this T10, and then what I do to try to bait his shot is I try to side scrape at an extreme angle, because this is a 140. You could even side scrape in a Leopard 1 if the angle is extreme enough, so you can kind of make that happen. So what I'm doing is I'm making sure if I poke on someone, I'm side scraping, and if I'm not side scraping, I make sure I get the early shot on them. So for example, that T10's sort of driving into me, I put a shot, that one misses because RNG said no. The T10 gets a shot into me, it's fine, I was full HP, and then he actually ends up dying, which is absolutely what we needed, because if you take a look at the map, we're going to start to lose the 9 line. Now what I'm going to have to do here, and this is something you have to watch for in city maps a lot, is running away through angles that you previously covered. So right here, that angle that I was, there we go, now it'll let me zoom out. This angle right here that I was previously watching has the potential to be guarded by an enemy vehicle right now, because if you see, the T28 prototype doesn't have eyes on that angle, and neither do I. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look backwards, and you're going to see me watch to make sure that T28 is covering the angle, because that AMX AC48 could have shot me as I run away, in which case that would have cost me a lot of HP and could have potentially thrown the game. So we got out of there just fine. The next step is defending the base. Now this is going to come down to a lot of brawling. What medium tanks can manage to do is they can manage to fight heavy tanks at about 300 meters with their armor. And what I mean by that is you can generally side scrape against heavies in your mediums if you have some sort of range in between you and them, because they're not going to have the accuracy to actually pen what they're aiming at. So what you can see me doing is I'm side scraping right here. This works for multiple reasons. There's no RD, and there's also no big guns at A0 who are shooting at me, and you can see I'm able to side scrape and put shots into this IS-7 who's actually going to brawl with me, and he's going to bounce or miss a lot of his shots simply because he's an IS-7, and you know, IS-7s don't have a lot of accuracy. So what I'm doing is I'm going to side scrape, I wait until he shoots or misses or bounces, and then I'm going to put a shot into him. And so I'm just sort of doing that. I shoot down this fence here, and this is the play that I'm going to have to make, because if you'll notice, they've got like 4 tanks pushing into us, and we don't have anything akin to that. They've got 5 tanks pushing into us, and we have like 3 who are actually fighting right here. So we see the bat shot, we're going to continue to side scrape. We're just going to focus on pumping out shots. I'm going to focus down this IS-7 in this position because I need to kill the IS-7. Obviously, he's a tier 10 heavy. You can see I'm side scraping him. His accuracy prevents him from getting a decent shot into me, and I'm going to choose to shoot at him instead of the IS-7 because I figure it's worth it to kill the IS-7, and then I make that decision again. I say maybe I'll take a hit or two to kill the IS-7, and because I was side scraping, you know, he bounced. Now I chose to put the shot into the Pershing because I figured the IS-7 shot wouldn't pen, and that's just sort of how it is right now. Now, one of the hardest things to realize when you're in a situation like this is to look at your map and understand what's going to happen to the game. So right here, there's a reason I paused this. Right here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tanks left on our team, something like that. I'm not the greatest at counting. And you'll notice that most of them, over half of our team is in the south, and they've got that STRV, the Pershing, and something else that are pushing into us, and the car instead. I actually didn't realize that we had a T-30, so at this point in time I was like being really passive because A, I didn't want to throw away all my HP, and if we lost the city, even though we had a large amount of tanks there, I didn't want to have to carry with low amounts of HP. So what I do is I notice the STRV pushing me, and I decide not to trade my HP with that guy because I figure I might need it to win the game. And what I do is I fall back, I put 2 houses in between myself and him. That allows me to get the track, the T-30 gets the kill, and then we're able to pick up the kill on the IS-7, and suddenly this game kind of looks like it's in our favor. But as I was playing this, I was certain we were actually going to lose the city because they had the Type 4, and I didn't really, well, look at all the one-shots we have. So I end up getting shot by the Pershing. I'm going to go for the Panther in this situation. You have to be really careful in this type of context because the Panther and the Pershing would have actually been able to kill me. So what I'm doing is I'm driving behind the Panther because the Panther has really poor gun elevation to its rear, so he wouldn't be able to shoot me if I was behind him. That's a tip if you're ever fighting Panthers. Get behind them because they won't have the gun depression to hit you. And you can see that's how I was able to finish him off with 439 HP left. So the last step is just making sure the KV-4 doesn't pull a carry out of his ass, and the STRV, because we do have those one-shots heavy. So it was actually, if they had had 3 one-shots, it's like possible for them to win if I didn't pay attention to the T-30, because honestly a full HP T-30 at this stage in the game probably isn't a great player. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing in. I wanted to kind of make sure we didn't lose this, and I wanted to get as much damage as possible. The STRV wasn't looking, so that's fine. And now I'm just going to deal with this last KV-4, and at this point in time I'm actually possible high roll for him. So I notice he's got the 390 alpha gun, so I make sure I track him, and then we're just going to sort of get safe and make sure we can perma-track him, and I'm, you know, side scraping here. He's not going to be able to do anything, and that's what allows us to get the 7.1k damage game in about 5 minutes. So that was a lot of damage in a really short period of time. I don't really think it was some epic game. I felt like the circumstances were lucky because I was just constantly shooting my gun. It was practically melting. But as you can see, that was an ace tanker, a Confederate, and a high caliber. 7.1k damage, 1263 base XP. So that's generally going to be a mastery badge. 96,000 credits earned. And 30 shots fired, 28 hit, 23 of them penned. So that's kind of like the gist to Ensk. Maps like Ends tend to focus on the micro plays, and so what I mean by that is you have to take advantage of little things. So for example, by coming to here, getting shots on that IS-3 who's, you know, in the, oh, there we go, the IS-3 who's in this area, and then falling back and just doing a similar strat where I just shot down this line is kind of how that works. It's like you have to look for small opportunities to do damage, and then falling back, of course, is where I got the majority of my damage, and that was simply because pushing through here for the enemy team is generally very hard if they're not coordinated, right? Like, so what I could do is I just sat here or here or whatever, I don't really know which house specifically, and that let me get shots into people who were driving into me, and because there was significant range between me, I was actually able to just side scrape against that IS-7, and he couldn't really do anything about it. So that's kind of like my general advice to medium tanks in city maps, or specifically Ensk. It's like what you want to do is you want to take an early position, get early shots off like I did here, and then after that you kind of have to play a fight where the enemy is either distracted or at such a far range that you can reliably side scrape against them and they won't like pen your commander's hatch or something. So that would be my advice. I'm going to call the video here. It's a short one, but and that was a quick game, so it's just that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more, be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button, and I hope to see you around. Later, guys. Bye-bye.